Everyone talks about the basics of preparedness, which are super important. I talk about it a lot too. But what about some uncommon skills that maybe we should consider learning? Let's take a look. Hi everyone, working here. Cheers. So the first one is blacksmithing skills. So we've been wanting to learn blacksmithing for a really long time. We went to this old-timey village kind of nearby, and there was this guy who did blacksmithing for a living, okay? And it was really cool. Like, it's a dying art, I think, for sure. And there are some classes and things you can take, but I've always wanted to know how to blacksmith my own nails, okay? Like, it's such a weird thing, but it's like, nails are so important that, you know, knowing how to blacksmith your own nails so that you can build things would be amazing. If you have not seen someone blacksmithing nails, you should. It is so cool how they do it. And there are some blacksmiths that are so fast, you're just like, your toxic trait is now, I could do that. Okay, the next one is radio communication, specifically like ham radio, but you know, GMRS or walkie-talkies or whatever. But I think ham radio communication is incredibly important. I talk about it all the time, and I get such flack for it. Well, you have to have a license, isn't that? Yes, that's true. Well, in an emergency, you don't have to have a license. Sure. But are you gonna know how to use that radio? Are you gonna know how to reach out to people? Are you gonna know the frequencies? Are you gonna actually know how to physically use the radio? Are you gonna have to know how to set up antennas and all these things? Without actually doing that stuff, it's gonna be incredibly difficult in an already stressful situation to try to figure it out, okay? You want to learn how to use ham radio, get the equipment, use it, get a part of a local ham radio club, do the field day, do all this stuff and get to know it. All right, number 3 is foraging. Foraging for food and foraging for medicine. There are so many plants that are ideal for either or both sometimes. But knowing how to identify plants for medicine specifically is super important. You know, like I have found yarrow and I love yarrow, and I forage for that. I've dried it. I make tinctures out of it. You could make salves out of it. You know, knowing how to identify and then knowing what to do with those medicinal herbs is really important. The thing that I would suggest is to get a colored book for your specific area. You also want to make sure that you are getting an author that you recognize or that has some sort of online presence, because there's a lot of AI books being created right now, like just by AI, and it's very dangerous, especially in the foraging community. You need to make sure that you are looking for books by authors that you can actually verify online that they have some sort of presence and they are a real person and not just an AI created person. All right, the next skill is water filtration. So many people store water, but it's really shocking how many people don't understand water filtration or water purification. Knowing where water comes from, any potential contaminants in that water, these are all very important things, and then how to actually filter out those contaminants and which filtration system is going to be best for that type of water is what we're talking about here. All right, the next one is going to be leather working. So we got into leather working a little bit like years and years ago, and it's pretty fun. It is pretty addicting actually, because we were making little leather wallets and like I think we wanted to make a leather belt at one point. We didn't, but anyway, like we were making little leather things, and it's pretty fun. Like you get the little leather sewing kit and the little awl or whatever it's called. Anyway, it's very fun. Leather is expensive, and it's always been expensive. We have a little leather shop here, but if you can get some scrap leather just to like practice on, maybe make like a couple moccasins or something. Leather working is important because it's like if you go hunting and you get the meat from like a deer, let's say, well, you want to save that hide, and then how are you going to work with that hide? You know, you want that leather working tool so that you can actually do something with it besides just, you know, just throw it over your shoulders, I guess. But sure, you could do that. It's nice and easy. Make it a blanket. Done, right? But yeah, so, you know, you can make things out of leather, you know, from your hunts and things like that. Okay, so the next one is basic lockpicking. I have had people specifically reach out to me and say, hey, have you ever talked about lockpicking? I don't really talk about it, but I think it's a very interesting skill. I got my husband a lockpicking kit the other day, and he was so excited for it, and he was like all into it, and he picked it up very, very fast. Me, on the other hand, I've had people send me a couple lockpicking stuff, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. But like, it doesn't click for me for some reason. Like the whole lockpicking thing, it doesn't click in my head. I don't know. But you know, for like survival or scenarios and things like that, lockpicking could be a very interesting skill. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the lockpicking lawyer. He makes you feel like you can lockpick the moon. Like you can do anything with lockpicking. He's so good at it. Don't let him fool you. It's definitely a skill that you need to learn. Take a class, whatever. All right, and the last skill is alternative energy knowledge. So whenever I talk about, yeah, your freezer is still part of your preps, and people always say, well, when the lights go out, you won't have your freezer. I will, because I have alternative energy to support my freezer and fridge in blackouts. And this is what I mean. People don't quite understand that when your hooked up power, your electricity that you're hooked up to, when that goes out, you can still have alternative energy to power the things that you need. And not just the things that you need, but the things that you want. I've been able to figure out that I can power my coffee maker. I can power my my bread maker. I can power my Instapot. I can power my air fryer. I can power my freezer. I can power my fridge. I can power every appliance in my household. Let's just say that, okay? Because I have the alternative energy that I need. I have an entire PDF about how to calculate your energy needs for solar or whatever else. Down below, click on that link, because I want you to be able to calculate your needs and then get the alternative sources that you need, okay? To power your freezer or fridge or whatever else you want to power, okay? There's solar and wind and hydro and all these things that are different for various people. And then there's also people that like, hey, I don't need that much energy, you know, I don't need to power that much stuff. And that's great. You know, when we lived off grid, like we couldn't power a lot of stuff. There's no way I could have a freeze dryer or even a dehydrator. So I had to have like a solar dehydrator. If I wanted to power my freeze dryer with solar, I know that I would need an incredible amount of not only solar panels to charge the batteries, the amount of batteries that I have, but also an incredible amount of batteries in order to keep that freeze dryer going for 2 or 3 days, you know, however long it might take. Do you have any of these skills? Let me know down in the comments. And what are some other uncommon skills that you think preppers should know? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Conquer tomorrow by preparing today. I'll talk to you later. Bye.